this video we are going to cover some of the most frequently asked web development interview questions for freshers. So this is the main topic of our video, and today we will be going to see some of the most frequently asked questions and that are relevant. Okay, so without wasting time, let's get into the content. So let's see the first question that we have today. So the first question that is most frequently asked is DOM. So you could be asked that explain DOM, what is document object model. So this kind of questioning you could face. So every web developer should be aware of this concept DOM because it is one of the most basic and fundamental concept in web development. So let's see what is DOM. I hope you should know it. So DOM stands for document object model, as stated above. It is a programming interface for HTML and XML documents. So you can assume it is a structure in which you can actually access every element of your document. Let me show you it by a picture. The image that you can see on the right, you can see there are so many elements present in my HTML like head, body, title, and h1 anchor tag. So these are some elements that could be present in your HTML. So these elements that are present in your HTML could be accessed with the help of DOM, because DOM is actually an object kind of thing that is present by which actually you can access every element of your HTML hierarchically in this tree format. Like if you want to access this title, you can actually use some features of document like document.find element by ID or by class name. So these are some functionalities that are provided by the DOM. So as I stated, DOM stands for document object model. It is a programming interface between HTML and XML documents. Okay, so it represent this diagram represent the tree-like structure of objects. As you can see, there is HTML object, this head element, body element. So this is the tree kind of structure that is present in your HTML. Each element in the document is a node in a DOM tree. So this actually the whole structure is known as DOM tree. It can vary according to your HTML. Okay. So why DOM is used? So DOM is actually used and to manipulate documents content. If you want to change the title, if you want to change some styling of h1 or anchor tag, you can do it by the use of DOM. So DOM can be used in web browsers to dynamically update web pages without requiring a full page reload. So these are some features of DOM that you should know. And DOM enables interaction with the documents element, such as adding, removing, or modifying elements. So this is some content that you should know about the DOM. So this is one of the most frequently asked questions in a web dev interviews. So I hope you got the point, like what is DOM, and you should actually research about the DOM in depth. Okay, so because this is the most and basic fundamental topic of web dev. Okay, so now let's move ahead. This is a exemplar DOM tree. Okay, it can vary according to the HTML, as I said earlier. Okay, so this is all about the DOM. And now let's see the next question that we have in the row. So the next question is, explain the different kinds of HTTP requests supported by RESTful web services. So again, if you are using APIs in your web dev, then you should know each and every kind of different HTTP request supported. Okay, so now let's see what are those type of kinds of requests. Okay, so the first one is GET request. So if you want to retrieve some data from the server, okay, if you want to load some resources from the server, okay, without modifying them, just you are asking the server to give me some details or some data, then you will use this get request. Okay, and now if you want to submit some data to the server or create a resource in your server, then you use post type of request. Okay, so post request is used to create some resource in the server or to submit some data to the server. Okay. So now let's see what is the next type. So the next type is put HTTP request. So now if you want to update some existing resource or create a new one if it doesn't exist, then put type of request is used. Actually it replaces the entire resource, okay, the entire resource. But now you will ask me, if I want to update a fraction of part of a resource, then what I should use? So to do that you use patch request. So the patch request is used to update a part of an existing resource, okay, and it is used for making practical updates. Okay, now let's see what else we have. So the fifth kind of request is delete type. So now if I want to delete some resource from a server, and if I want to remove some resources, then I will use delete type of request. Okay, so these are some basic type of requests that you should use. So now let's move ahead. So this is a simple diagram showing how a request goes from client to server and how response is fetched from the server. So this is a simple diagram. So this diagram is actually representing some API endpoints. So what are API endpoints? Okay, so API endpoints are nothing but distinguishing factor of types of request. So now suppose you want to add some book, you want to get some book, you want to delete some book, then you can make different API endpoints, or you can change their HTTP request types. Okay, so these are some basic information that you should know. Okay, it is expected by you to know these all things if you are a web developer working on an API. Okay, so now let's move ahead. Now let's see the next question that we have. So the next question in the row is NPM. So define NPM. NPM, as question is stating, it is Node Package Manager. So you might have used this Node Package Manager a lot of times in your web development journey, and up till now you should know it, like what it is and how it is used. Okay, so now let's see one by one what NPM is. So NPM is Node Package Manager, is a widely used package manager for Node.js applications. So the applications that are run using Node.js has a functionality to add packages or delete packages. You know what packages? Package is a piece of code written by someone else that you are using for your own benefit. Okay, so a package is nothing but a piece of code that you are using that is written by someone else. Okay, so now this NPM allows developers to install and manage external libraries or packages. Okay, so I've told you what packages it is used to install and manage those packages. So now NPM provides a command line interface to handle package installation, version management, and dependencies. So if I give you an example, in your React applications or Node.js apps, you used to install so many packages like Axios, like NodeMonk. So these are some pre-written code that you are using, okay, by installing them in your project with the help of NPM. Okay, so you used to type the command like npm install Axios. So these are command lines request that you make to NPM. Okay, so now let's move ahead. Developers can publish their own packages to the NPM registry for the use of others. So as I said, you can actually create your packages, your custom packages, and you can publish them as well, so that others can take benefit of it, because you are also using someone else's packages. So you can also actually create one so that others can use your packages. Okay, I think you got my point. So now let's move ahead. This NPM simplifies the process of sharing and distributing Node.js modules. So these lines are stating similar things. Okay, so this is nothing new in it. Okay, so these diagrams are just representing an NPM. NPM is a kind of pre-written code that you are using. Okay, I think you got my point. So now let's move ahead. So the fourth question that you used to encounter, or the web developers used to encounter, is what are pseudo classes. Okay, so I'm giving you a hint that in CSS you might have heard of pseudo classes, and you might have used it also, but by the name pseudo classes you might not know what pseudo classes is, but most probably you have used it. Okay, now let's say what pseudo classes are. Pseudo classes in web development are special selectors used in CSS to target and style elements based on their state or position in the document. Now, this is the main point, based on their state or position in the document. Okay. Don't worry if you not get the point, you will see example of it. So they bring with a colon and enable styling of elements based on basic element type like IDs. Okay. So now let's see some key points. Okay. So you might have used this hover keyword in your CSS. So suppose you might have implemented a feature by which if you hover on a card, it should magnify itself, like card magnifies on hover or changes color on hover. So these kind of functionalities you might have used with the help of hover keyword, right? So this is a pseudo selector. Okay, hover. Or you might have actually used active or focus keywords also in your CSS while creating forms. Like suppose if you are entering some detail in an input, then it should show a border, and when I focus out, it should not show the border. So these kind of functionalities you might have used in your CSS while creating the forms. Okay, so now pseudo classes select element based on their relation to the document, like first child and child. So these are some basic things that you should know about the pseudo classes. It is widely used for adding interactivity and enhancing user interface. As we all know that CSS is used to enhance and cherish user experience, right? So these are some extra functionalities provided by the CSS. So one thing that you should know is there are 5 major type of selector, like ID selector, class selector, element selector, star selector, and pseudo selector. You should know each type of these selectors. Okay, you should know how they work and how they look like. It would be better for you. So this is a diagram that you should know, and I'm giving you a task that you should research about these selectors if you don't know till now. Okay, so this is it for the pseudo classes. So now let's move ahead. So now the fifth question that most frequently arises is, why are media queries used in CSS? Or you might be asked like, what are media queries in CSS? So you should know this topic clearly if you have built responsive websites. If you have made responsive web projects, then you should know this topic. Okay. So now let's see what we have. So media queries in CSS are used in web development to create responsive designs. So what I meant by responsive designs. So responsive designs are those designs which can adapt the screen according to the screen size. So suppose I have made a website which can work in laptop, smartphone, tablet. So the user interface of that website should adjust according to the screen size, like for the tablet, for the laptop, or the smartphone. It should adapt. Okay, and accordingly it should show the features. Okay, so this is the actually concept of responsive designs. Now let's move ahead. Let's see what else we have. They allow the layout and styling of a web page to adapt based on the user device, screen size, or orientation. So these are the things on which actually we can trigger some CSS. So media queries enables the use of different CSS rules for different devices, optimizing the user experience and across the various platforms. As I told, my website could be opened in a laptop, tablet, or smartphone. So it should adapt according to the screen size and then show the user interface accordingly, so that user interface should be cherished in all the conditions. Okay, so this is the actually main task of media queries. They help in they ensure that website look and function well on desktop, laptop, tablet, and smartphones, as I stated earlier. By using media queries, developers can achieve a consistent and user-friendly presentation of their content on different devices. So this is a similar line that it is stating that design actually adapt according to the screen sizes. So as you can see, this is a simple web project, and it is actually adapt adapting user interface according to the screen size. As you can see, text is coming to the right of image in desktop, text is coming below the image in tablet and also in smartphone. So these are some use of media queries. Okay, so now let's see what is the next most important question that is most frequently asked. So the next question is the advantages of HTTP2 over HTTP 1.1. Okay, I think that some of the people don't know this question because they used to actually make some projects and they think that they are done. But no, in the case of development careers, you should be updated with the technology that is around you. Okay, you should be updated with the latest technologies. So let's see what are the advantages of HTTP2 over the HTTP 1.1. Okay. Multiplexing. So the HTTP2 supports multiplexing. By the word multiplexing, I meant is I can send more than one request, or I can send concurrent request over a single connection so that it reduces the latency. This word is simply stating that I can make multiple requests at a time to the server. Okay. Header compression. Actually, there is some header that you used to pass in your request, like this is my bearer token and this is my authorization. So these kind of things you used to pass in your header. So in HTTP2, the header actually compresses and it requires less bandwidth to make the request. Okay. So this is one of the most important factor of HTTP2. Now let's see what else we have. Server push. HTTP2 allows the server to send resources proactively to the server, to the client, improving page load times. Okay. So it actually means that server can concurrently send data to the client so that everything loads so fast. Okay, so now let's see the next point is binary protocol. So the HTTP2 optimizes for faster parsing and reduce errors compared to text-based HTTP 1.1. This is the point that you should research about it because it will take a lot of time to discuss this point. So I'm leaving this point up to you. So this is our assignment, you should do it. The next point is stream prioritization. So now while making the request to the server, you can actually prioritize some particular resources or request according to you. Okay. You can make prioritization of any request that you want. Okay. So this is actually the feature available in the HTTP2. So the sixth feature that available is enhanced security. So the security is more in HTTP2 because it encourages the use of SSL and TSL encryption and certification for the web projects. Okay. So this is I might think that this could be a new topic for some people. So you should research about it. Okay. I'm giving you a hint that gRPC is one of the most used HTTP2 communication in your Android. So you can search about it. The name is gRPC. So like you can see this example in HTTP 1.1 you used to make different requests, but in HTTP2 you can make multiple requests at a time. Okay, so in this case a waiter is making first request, then second, then third, then fourth. But in HTTP2 you can actually make concurrent requests. So this is it for this question, and now let's move to the next question. The next question that we have is explain the term scope in JavaScript and write its different types. Okay. So you might have used let const var in your JavaScript, right? But why are they used differently and how they differ. So this is the question that also could be asked. Okay, so you should know the answer of it. So now let's see what is the answer of this question. So the scope in JavaScript. Okay, so the definition is scope refers to the context in which variables are declared and accessed in the JavaScript. Okay, so if you, let's suppose if you declare a variable inside your function, then if you want that variable to be used inside your function or some block, you should make it either let or const type. Okay, depending upon the usage. Okay, so you should know about the scope in the JavaScript if you are using it. Okay, you you have used it in your web development projects, but you should have a basic and fundamental understanding of these also. Okay, so now let's move ahead. The first type of scope is global scope. So the global scope says variable declared outside any function have global access and can be accessed from any part of the code. So these are those kind of variables that can be accessed anywhere in your code, and they are global scope. Okay, so the next scope is local scope. Variables declared inside a function have local scope and can only be accessed within the function. So if I'm declaring a function and that function I declared a variable, so the local scope is that that variable should be accessed and used only inside that function only. So this is known as local scope. So the next is block scope. So you might have used let, const kind of things. Okay, so these variables are used for making the block scope variables. Okay, so now let's move ahead. Lexical scope. Okay, it is also known as static scope. It allows inner functions to access variables and the outer of their outer function. So suppose you have an outer function and inside that you have an inner function. So the variable declared in the outer functions can be accessed inside the inner function also. This fundamental concept is known as lexical scope. Okay, I think you got the point what I'm trying to say. So this is the hierarchy of the scope: global, local, function, and block. Let's move ahead. So the next question that arises most is state difference between local storage and cookies. So while you might be actually implementing some projects that uses local storage or cookies while making authentications. So these kind of things that you might have used in your projects actually uses either local storage or cookies. Okay, so both serve some different purposes. Why local actually storage is used, why cookies are used. Both have some separate concerns. Okay, so now let's look into it. Local storage. So local storage actually is stored data on the client side. So it stores the data on the client side. Capacity of local storage varies from 5 to 10 MB usually. It is accessed through JavaScript's local storage object. Okay, so in JavaScript you use a local storage object to access the local storage. In local storage, data persists even after the browser is closed. Okay, it is suitable for storing large amount of non-sensitive data that is not actually confidential. So you can store that in the local storage. So now let's talk about cookies. The cookies are again stored on the client side. The limit of cookies is in 4 KB of size. Okay, actually you can actually store at max 4 KB of cookies. Okay, so the cookies can be sent to the server each with HTTP request. So while making the HTTP request, you can send the cookies as well. Also, cookies can handle an expiry date or be session based. That means that cookies can be used to actually maintain and manage sessions and could have an expiry date also. Okay. Cookies are most used for session management and small data needs, as I stated. Okay. So you can study about this in depth if you want. I suggest you should know what is local storage, session storage, and cookies in depth. Okay, so you should actually do research about it. So the next question that we have is explain CORS, cross origin resource sharing, and what is its importance. So this is the next question that you might be asked. CORS, as stated, uh, stands for cross origin resource sharing. Now let's see why it is used. CORS is a security feature implemented via web browsers to restrict cross-origin requests, ensuring safer web communication. Now let's suppose if I give you an example. Okay. So now suppose if your server is accessed uh, from an unauthorized domain. So now with the help of CORS, you can actually say that I will only allow the access to the server to these particular domains only. And if someone outside the listed domains tries to access our server, then it will be blocked automatically by the use of CORS. So this is the main function of CORS. So the CORS actually permits sharing of resources, example API data between different domains when the server explicitly allows it. Okay, so it's just simple line that is stating the same thing that I stated just now. Its importance is it enhances security by preventing unauthorized access to sensitive data on the other domains. So as I stated, it actually restricts the unauthorized access to the server. Secondly, it enables controlled sharing of resources, promoting secure data exchange between web applications. So this is a similar thing that it is stating. So third point is facilitates building powerful web applications that can interact with multiple API from different origins. Yeah, so you can actually use multiple APIs for your actually server. Okay, by the use of CORS, actually you can manage their access also, like who can access what kind of things. So you can actually use CORS to maintain the cross origin resource sharing. Okay. So yeah, fourth point is promotes a more modular and collaborative approach to the web development. It is just a theoretical point, you can ignore it. Okay. So the next question, that is actually last question of this video. Now let's see what is the last but not the least question that is most frequently asked. So the next question is, why should you be hired for a web development internship? It is one of the most important asked questions. I think if you have given some interviews, then you might have been asked this question in all interviews, I think, of web development, right? So now let's see what could be a good and preferred answer for it. So you can say that is an excellent question, in my opinion. I did extensive research on your organization and read thoroughly about this internship. This allows me to learn about what you are looking for. I have the necessary abilities to be considered for this internship. I am capable of producing high quality product and commit, committing fully to this internship. So this kind of sentence you can tell them. Okay. What else you can say is, I believe I will be a good fit for this internship because I'm a good learner and I'm very interested in pursuing a career in this field. I'm already begun my preparation. I've examined your firm objectives and goals, and I am confident I can give all you are looking for in a candidate. So these kind of answers you can make in front of your interviewer. Okay. So this should be a format of answering this type of questions so that your interview uh, goes well. Okay. So you should prepare about this question uh, very well. Okay, because this is one of the very most important and frequently asked question. I think in any interview this question will be asked. Like, why should we hire for you for this role? Like, why should you be hired for this role? So these kind of questions you could be asked. What excites you to join this organization? This is also a question that you might be asked. Okay, so this is it about the questions for this video. So okay, so I want to thank you for giving your important time in this video, and I hope you like the questions and the things that I mentioned you to do. You should do them for your benefit. you will get a great benefit of it. Okay, so thanks for your time. Okay, so I'm signing off. Bye guys, have a great time.